his videos.
I think you said it right there. And it explains the disconnect that you and I are having. Whereas you believe in what Jesus said, and I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in a God of any kind. I've recently been studying philosophy, and I'll let this philosopher speak for herself. The philosophy that at the moment I tend to agree with because it resonates quite well with me.
Self-sacrifice is the precept that man needs to serve others in order to justify his existence, that his moral duty is to serve others. That is what most people believe today.
Well, yes, we're taught to feel concerned for our fellow man, to feel responsible for his welfare, to feel that we are, as religious people might put it, children under God and responsible one for the other. Now, why do you rebel? What's wrong with this philosophy?
But that is what, in fact, makes man a sacrificial animal.
Okay. Did you notice that this woman, Ayn Rand, she correlates anybody who thinks of others as animals? This is called making a fault out of a virtue. If you do for other people and you think of other people, ones like Ayn Rand will try to put you down and make you feel like there's something wrong with you because they themselves, ones like Ayn Rand, don't care about other people. And they don't feel they need to care about other people, or they don't need to think on a more social level. Now, I'm not speaking of socialism as a whole. I'm speaking of looking at an entire ecosystem of interaction, okay, of different organisms, people, whatever, and the importance of not being completely preoccupied only with yourself. This is called, in common language, selfishness. Now, some will try to justify selfishness. What Hilldiggity has done here is thrown out a complete red herring in argument. That's what this is called, a red herring. What a red herring is when an argument is taking a certain direction and a person throws in something into the argument to just totally sidetrack the argument and to try to make a point, like to discredit the person that the one is arguing with. The original discussion began with the question, what's wrong with shunning? What's wrong with being shunned? Why can't you just be shunned? And the direction the argument was taking is that it's damaging to ones who are being shunned. And I tried to bring it on a more social level, that if ones like me don't help warn people of what this religion is doing, then these people will continuously go into this religion and find themselves trapped in it. Because the Watchtower Society does not let people simply leave the religion. If you want to get out of this religion and you tell anybody the reasons you're leaving it, they will shun you and cut you off from your family, from your friends. And that is a very powerful mind control tool. And I was bringing that out, that I don't just think on my own level of what shunning did to me. I'm angry because I was shunned. No, I think on a larger level than that, that there's other people out there in the future generations, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that may go through what I went through. And by me making videos here on YouTube, helping them understand what tactics the Watchtower Society is using, then I, in turn, have helped others avoid what I had to go through. So is it because I'm angry with what the Watchtower Society's policy and what it did to me? Or is it because I can help others on a larger level? To take it one step further now, and to respond to Ayn Rand, the selfish person in the video that I mentioned, who feels autonomous thinking is the best way of thinking, or selfish thinking, we could say. If the Watchtower Society continues to grow by trapping people in it, then one day we could find all of ourselves under tyrannical government, under the leaders of the Watchtower Society. You may scoff at that and think that that's impossible. But if this cult religion begins to compound exponentially, then this possibility is a very real scenario that we could one day be facing. I'm going to show you a parable. And this is out of my textbook in environmental science. This is the course I'm taking this semester. Okay, Richard T. Wright. Here's the copyright information for anybody interested in researching this publication further. Okay, here's the page 279. And here's the parable. Parable of the Commons. As described by Hardin, the original commons were pastures around villages in England. These pastures were provided free by the king to anyone who wished to graze cattle. In the parable, herders were quick to realize that whoever grazed the most cattle stood to benefit the most. Even if they realized that a particular commons was being overgrazed, those who withdrew their cattle simply sacrificed personal profits while others went on using that commons. One herder's loss became another's gain, and the commons were overgrazed in any case. Consequently, herders would add to their herds until the commons were totally destroyed. The lesson of the parable is that where there is no management of the commons, everyone pursuing their own interests will lead to a tragedy for all. Well, can that apply to the red herring and making a fault out of a virtue argument that was thrown into this video ping pong between Hillary and I? Well, absolutely. It shows that autonomous thinking can lead to destruction. How? Everybody acting independently with no concern about their fellow man will lead to destruction in the case of the commons. These people were all allowing cattle to graze on communal land. And they realized if we continue doing this, it's going to be overgrazed, the land's going to become useless, and we're going to lose all our cattle, and we're going to be all out of business. So they would withdraw their cattle. They would sacrifice because nobody else would. Everybody else would just continue letting their cattle graze. And they'd all, as a matter of fact, gain. When you withdrew your cattle, their cattle would get fatter, they'd be able to buy more cattle, put it in there, and they'd feel, well, we're going to make more money, and nobody seemed concerned about the whole. The entire community here, the entire commons, and eventually it became overgrazed, the land became useless, the people could not raise cattle out anymore, and they all were defunct, out of business. So that's my philosophy. If the Watchtower Society continues and nobody takes a stand against it, you will see this thing continue to grow until a point where it may be unstoppable. Ciao.